Okay, I think I'm officially sick of putting air in this tire, so it's time to just take an hour or so and fix it. This is also a good time because I know you guys can't tell, but it is rather nice out and not hot, unlike yesterday when I got locked out. What you will need for this operation: one of these tire plug kits. This is kind of a nice one. You don't even have to have one that nice. Dish soap and water. Also, be good to have some tools like pliers and stuff in case the thing causing the leak is a nail. This assortment more than covers what you will need. In fact, you will almost certainly not need any of these things. But the razor knife is in case I have to cut something away. The pliers are for the different kinds of pliers are for plying the screw or nail out of the tire. And the screwdrivers are in case I have to kind of poke around and dig something out. You want to do this where there is an air machine, because obviously if there's a nail or something or anything, your tire is going to become deflated when you remove that. But the steps are, we're going to jack up the car, we're going to put a jack stand underneath it, we're going to take the lugs off the tire. Man, it's really like kind of hard to do this. And then we are going to make a soapy mixture and put it around the tire. We're going to look for bubbles, which hopefully we'll find. And then you have these rubber strips and you put them into this thing that goes in the hole. The rubber strips are sticky. You pull the thing out of the hole, but the rubber strips stay because they're sticky. And you kind of let that dry for a bit. And then your tire should be patched, and you put air in it and you put it back on the car, and then you take the jack stands off, and then your car is normal. So you want to wedge the jack onto something that's a hard point that's not going to bend in, and then you just do this. Last time I did this, it was only like 14 years ago, so you can trust me. If you have a jack stand, make sure it's adjusted to the right height so that you can get your hand underneath the wheel, which we're basically there. Should look something like this. And yes, that tire is just barely not touching the ground. We're now going to use the tire iron to take the lugs off. It's worth noting, making sure you have your tire iron before you do this. It's also worth noting that if your brakes aren't engaged on the back, you might want to let it touch the ground just slightly so that it doesn't spin when you try to do this. With the lugs removed, you should be able to take off the tire. All right, we're gonna go along the surface of the tire and see if there's anything obvious. If that doesn't work, we're gonna have to do the bubbles thing. All right, we're not seeing anything here. If I didn't know any better, I would say this is basically a brand new tire. You may be asking why I'm not looking on the side walls here. That's because if there was a hole on the side walls, it would not be a slow leak. Generally, that's how you get a blowout. This means we're going to make a soapy mixture. This should work. We're just gonna shake it up a bunch, douse the tire as many times as we need to, and hopefully at some point we start seeing some bubbles. All right, we're gonna try to use as little of this as possible. Just pour it right on there. Look at this. I think we got a winner. Look at that. Scrape it away. That's it. I know I'm making this video, but I'm almost kind of surprised that that worked. See, if I had a paint marker, I would circle it so we don't lose it, but I think we can remember that. And oh yeah, that's definitely like a nail. How did I not see that before? I just want to take a second and enjoy this. This little bugger has been bothering me this whole time. Thankfully, this is like the perfect size for the patch kit, which you're about to see. So I think the best way to approach this is going to be to cut around it and hopefully not make the hole too much bigger. That's a very standard size nail, I would say. You can kind of see how big it is in proportion to the razor blade. I think if we dig around it, we'll be able to patch it. This part can very much suck. And we're starting to get it out. You can see that that is a nasty looking critter right there. With the hiss of the air escaping, we have identified the monster. There's your problem. I probably should have actually looked at this kit and made sure it had all the parts it's supposed to have. I was just trusting Amazon. So the patch kit, this, as you can see, oh, I was thinking of this thing. It's got a little eyelet. And what we're going to do is put one of these sticky strips in the eyelet, which is a bit of a pain if I remember right. Also, they have this thing in case you need to make the hole bigger, because sometimes you need to do that, but I think we'll be all right. We'll see. You're gonna take the thing, you can kind of fit this squishy whatever thing in between it. We're gonna put that in the hole, and then it's fairly easy for you to slip the metal thing out, but the sticky thing stays in there as a patch. So yeah, you get it in there and then you just start pushing it in. Once you get it something like this, you pull it out and the patch should stay in there. And there you go. I'm used to these patches being black. I guess it doesn't matter. So now we're gonna wheel this thing over and inflate it. And assuming, and this looks like a pretty tight patch to me, that should work. Like half the thing is in there. So this should inflate. All right, let's cross our fingers. Typically these tires are supposed to be like mid-30s. Maybe that's a little hard to read because it's upside down, but that's like 40. So that ought to be fine. And it didn't seem to have any hesitation when filling up, which means that probably was the leak. I mean, I don't have much doubt that it was the leak, but it's nice to get confirmation. Once you put the lugs back on, make sure you tighten them in the zigzag pattern so that you're doing the one sort of across from it. If you have 5 lugs, you'll follow the pattern I just traced out. If you have like 6 lugs or 4 lugs, just do the closest thing you can figure out. Once your lugs are nice and tight, you can just lower the car down and you should be good to go. Put all your tools and stuff back in the car so you don't forget them. It's worth noting that. And yeah, the point of doing this is a new tire, of course, is going to be more than $100. And even a used tire nowadays, you'd be lucky to only pay 40 bucks. Really, it's more like 50, 60 with all the inflation. So even if this takes you an hour to do, that's the equivalent of making $40, $50, or $100 an hour, which even if you have a decent sized business like mine, it's worth doing. It's also, of course, true that you have to consider your cost basis, but my cost basis for this was less than $10. Plus, each one of these strips can be used to replace a tire, and there's 10 of them. So the cost basis per tire theoretically is maybe like $1. I probably won't actually use all of these though, so maybe we'll say $2. So subtract that from your effective hourly rate. But yeah, it's worth it.